Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me, every son of liberty. Hurry right away, no delay, go today. Make your daddy glad to have had such a lad. Tell your sweetheart not to pine, to be proud her boy's in line. Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming, the drums rum-tumming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over, over there, over there, over there. Send the word over there.
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna be war no more.
I support WikiLeaks and
I served with the 1st Infantry Division in Vietnam as a medic, and I was very active in Vietnam Veterans Against the War and now Veterans for Peace. I've been doing this for over 40 years, and I guess for some of us this is a little bit of a religion.
And I'm here because I'm against the war, and because my wife is really against the war.
David and I have 7 children and 4 grandchildren, and I am darned and beyond if I'm going to raise children to send them into a war machine. Raise my children so they can go and kill somebody else's children or be killed by someone else's children is obscene. And the amount of money that we're spending on these wars is obscene.
I'm standing in solidarity with my other brothers from Veterans for Peace and other organizations to take my first stand and not be moved. I've spoken out many occasions, done many marches, but never, a civil disobedience. And I'm proud to be with this bunch to stand tall.
And I understand Vets for Peace has called an action tomorrow. I'm here to stand with the vets who are against these wars. The action tomorrow is to call on Obama specifically to end the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq.
We were founded in 2005. It essentially started as a group of friends who looked at the world as we saw it and said, how can we address some of the things we see going wrong? And what we came up with at the time was, it was back in 2005 when there were over 200 men at Guantanamo on hunger strike.
One of the resources that I've been using that's pretty effective is Army Field Manual 21-10, The Law of Land Warfare.
So we actually flew down to Cuba and walked about 75 kilometers to as close as we could get to the prison. We vigiled and fasted there for 5 days and called the base to be able to be let in to see the prisoners there. In October of that year, George Bush had said, if you think anything wrong is happening at Guantanamo, you should see for yourself. So we took him up on that.
The Hague and Geneva Conventions were ratified by the U.S. Congress, signed into law. They are the law of the land. They have the force of the Constitution.
I live in New York, but I probably spent the last 5 years, half of that time cumulatively in D.C. So we have experience with demonstrations and arrests and supporting those arrests in D.C. So I'm here on a support team to help those folks who are risking arrest tomorrow at the White House.
It's been a while since I've been out on the street,
so I was happy to come down and put my ass on the line. And like I said, it's time again. It's always time, but again, this was an event I'd heard about, and I was happy to come down and get behind veterans. I'm not a veteran myself, but I think they're certainly a vital and essential part of the anti-war movement and the peace movement. So,
well, I'm pretty excited. I think, like a lot of people here, I don't have illusions about, what exactly can come out of it as anything earth-shattering. But I think I do agree with the statement that it can keep resistance alive. That it's still important to do the right thing no matter what, and I think it can change some minds. And especially if we keep stuff like this going.
I'm from Mississippi. I've been in political activism. That's 39 years. And I'm a life member of Vietnam War. I had to do what I had to do because probably, God willing, it saved lives.
Basically, the fundamental reason is that we need to stop these wars that really are serving none of us common people at all, and certainly not the common people of the places who are fighting these wars, Iraq or Afghanistan or Pakistan or Yemen, or you say where militaries all over the planet.
These wars are being ignored. They are an incredible drain on, not only the economy of this country and making it impossible to do serious social work, in terms of education, housing, jobs, healthcare, and perhaps most importantly, protect our environment, because all the money goes to the wars.
We have 3 points of unity, and that is bring all the troops home now, reparations for the Iraqi people, and not only, but full and adequate health care and benefits for those returning from combat, regardless of discharge status. And since the war in Afghanistan has continued to go and expanded, and now it's Iraq and Afghanistan veterans against the war. The same principles, same points of unity.
I haven't actually been arrested for a political action since 1977 with the Clamshell Alliance at Seabrook.
So I'm asking for your support to stop the deployment of traumatized troops on behalf of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans against the war.
There is an enormous moral cost to a country that allows this kind of activity to go on, this ceaseless killing, much of which is not killing enemies, people who are trying to hurt this country at all. Much of the killing is collateral damage.
This country is a whole quantum more behaviorally modified than it was when I was young Zach's age or younger.
Well, we would hope that Americans might see these, if you will, grizzled old vets who otherwise would appear to be sane individuals, and might ask them, well, what the heck is going on? What's prompted these men and women to come from across the country to demonstrate that they are absolutely furious about what is going on in their names?
I was born in 1970. When I was growing up, we knew that the Vietnam War had been a mistake, and they acknowledged that, and we thought it would never happen again. And the people that forgets its history is condemned to repeat it. And right now, we're repeating our history.
And I'm not a fundamentalist Christian, but I'm an Episcopalian, and I like the book of Isaiah that talks about beating swords into plowshares and not studying war anymore. So that's about it in a nutshell. I just think it's absolutely immoral what we're doing.
The Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there.
The picture postcard area is where you can protest there. You can have a sign, but you have to keep moving. So anytime you have a sign and you're not moving, you're basically in violation of the park regulations there. And the picture postcard area is 30 feet on either side of the middle of the postcard, of the middle of the White House.
Provides support, legal support, and training for demonstrations ranging from peace, anti-torture, the environment, single-payer health, all kinds of things. And what we do is we meet with the groups usually the day before or evening before. We provide some briefing on what the process would be, what the actual charges might be, or potential charges, what the penalties could be, and just try to familiarize them with the process a little bit. We then also provide follow-up legal support when they go into court, when they get arraigned, they pay fines. We provide courtroom support as well.
These wars just are not serving America at all. There's no reason for us to be in Afghanistan. There's no reason for us to continue to be in Iraq. And our presence there is only heightening the violence and will only prolong the resistance and build the resistance as long as we are there.
And of course, those policies aren't even well articulated. I mean, I often ask groups of people around this country, young people, old people, say we've been fighting these wars for 10 years now. What are they for? Why are we doing it? And the extraordinary thing is that you can talk to a large group of Americans, even semi-aware Americans, and you'll get a whole host of different answers. Everything from bafflement to imperialism to security. But nobody's sure. How is that possible in a democracy, so-called, that the people of a country would fight a war for 10 years and still not know why? And you would assume that, finally, that they don't want to know why.
Emotional. Proud. Really proud, because I'm going to be doing it in my Class A's. Uniform, Purple Heart, medals, all that showing. So
Duty on our country has nothing at this time whatsoever to do with the government of the United States of America. Duty on our country lives in the streets, and patriotism is what all these people with Vets for Peace and their supporters are all about.
So we have over 1,000 military bases in foreign lands, and we have bases in at least 130 countries around the planet. And the total of all other countries' foreign military bases is only in the neighborhood of about 150 or 200.
So these guys are the heroes. These guys are the vets who did it, who can stand and not be impugned and not have their patriotism impugned. And I have just the utmost respect for these people that are the truest heroes, and I'll be proud to stand with them tomorrow.
Yeah, this is murder, killing is killing, and there is no excuse for this war. No excuse for Afghanistan. No excuse for Iraq. And we all know that. And that's why we're putting ourselves on the line tomorrow. And the more of us that put ourselves on the line, the more of an impact it's going to have.
I think we need a wide and broad movement from spiritual communities and veterans communities and workers and students. I mean, I think no segment of the movement is less important than the other. But I think they speak to different, potentially speak to different narratives. I think veterans are, hold a special place in the, sort of dialogue of war and empire.
Usually legal observers do get arrested. They shouldn't, but they don't have a real privilege like reporters have kind of a privilege against getting arrested. But they have been, in the immigration protests in Arizona, we felt that some of the green hat legal observers were targeted by the police and they were snatched up because the police knew they were supportive of the protesters.
We have to throw our bodies into that machine, and we have to insist on getting a different kind of publicity to make a much larger audience of Americans realize that people care enough to stand up and sacrifice.
Well, you want to make sure people, first of all, hopefully are acting nonviolently. They're getting their message across without, damaging property and causing too much mayhem. But then we try to make sure their rights are protected, make sure the police aren't acting excessively or getting rough with people. Although
perhaps argue persuasively that we ought not to have a military for anything other than bona fide defensive reasons, and that means when our country perhaps is absolutely and assuredly under attack, and that certainly wasn't the case with respect to the countries of Iraq or the country of Afghanistan, or again these other countries where we have a military presence.
I have become, in the last 10 years, a full-time activist artist myself, completely changed my own life. And like many people who do this, you never feel like you're doing enough, even when you're giving everything you've got.
A little big man, you remember, they'd all just seen it. He said the slogan that went right through it is the saying of the Sioux, the Lakota Sioux, "Come, brothers, it's a good day to die." And I said, It's never a good day to die, but I think May 1st is a good day to get arrested in Washington. This was a great line. I went home and I said to my wife, well, it seems I'm going to Washington. I can't end with that and then not go.
And the rally should take no more than an hour. At 11 o'clock, we're going to move out single file. And we need monitors. We're going to get monitors tonight. We're going to move out single file to the northeast corner of Lafayette Park. Single file, silent. We're going to have a drum. We want this to be a solemn procession. So I'm going to really ask everybody, it's only going to take us less than 10 minutes to get to the White House picture postcard area. So I'm just going to ask everybody to really be disciplined, keep about 5 feet between each person. Okay, what March of the Dead is, it is honoring those who died in Iraq, Afghanistan, both on the Iraqi and Afghani side and also our soldiers. So we have signs that people carry with the names on it, and a few of them have the pictures of these people who were killed over there, and they wear a death mask, and they are absolutely silent. So we need about 10 volunteers that would like to do that as an affinity group.
Be sure to hydrate yourself and eat something, because it's going to be a long time before you get to eat anything, if at all. They might give you water once they start doing your paperwork, just to kind of keep people happy or healthy, but unless you're in jail overnight, you really won't get any food from them. So, and you won't have access to the food that's in your pack. That'll be taken from you.
Right.
Are we looking at just walking off with the officers, or are we going to get down, drop down and make them literally drag us away? I can win an argument from both sides of that.
We're not arguing about it. That's an individual choice. That's up to you. I mean, if you feel you want to, if you do go limp, Ann is going to address that. If you do go limp, you make sure you are not resisting arrest.
It could also be unlawful assembly or incommoding, meaning that you're blocking sidewalks. It could also be unlawful entry onto the property of the White House, like if you stick your hands between the fence, they could charge that as an unlawful entry into the White House property.
We were handcuffed behind the back with plastic handcuffs. We were put on a bus. We were taken to this processing facility. We were in that processing facility for hours. I mean, we probably got busted around 4. We probably got out 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was, for the most of us, it was about a 12-hour process. But we're sitting in chairs. We're talking with each other just like in this room. There's more of us than there are of them. It was actually a solidarity-building experience.
Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Johnny, show the Hun you're a son of a gun. Hoist the flag and let her fly. Yankee doodle do or die. Pack your little kit, show your grit, do your bit. Yankees to the ranks from the towns and the tanks. Make your mother proud of you and the old red, white, and blue. Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drum coming everywhere.
Veterans for Peace has pledged in their statement of purpose to use nonviolent means to achieve their goals. As a result, Veterans for Peace have called for today's action to be a nonviolent action.
Across from the White House, on the very day that the Obama administration and the Pentagon released the so-called review of the surge.
And while the review is coming out today about what is happening in the war in Afghanistan, I want to talk about another review that came out, put out by a group called Save the Children. Of 160 countries, it looked at Afghanistan and said Afghanistan is the worst country in the world to be a mother.
We kidnap people, send them to countries to be tortured. We tortured people in Guantanamo. We tortured in Abu Ghraib. It goes against everything I was raised to believe in. And we're here. We're trying to tell Obama that we're here for just like the bonus soldiers. World War I came here demanding their bonus. It was a monetary bonus they were promised. We were promised peace.
The routine use of torture, not only by American officials, but under the direction of American officials, conducted by Iraqi or Afghanistan nationals, which is what we did in Vietnam. The advisor told them what to do, and they did it, and that way our hands were clean.
There was a recent poll taken asking Afghan men in southern Afghanistan whether they knew about September 11th, whether they knew about hijacked airliners crashing into the Twin Towers. 92% had never heard of the incident.
We are spending $320 million a day in Afghanistan, over $2 billion a month. And what is there to show for the Afghan people?
I'm a veteran of the Iraq War. I'm here today to let the people know that there's veterans out here willing to take another step and get involved heavily in bringing the troops home and freeing the people of Iraq and Afghanistan from brutal occupation.
This is Obama's war, and it was Bush's war, and before that, sisters and brothers, let's not forget, it was Clinton's war.
Well, I read an article by Chris Hedges on Truthdig, which said we can't just continue to march and petition. We have to actually put ourselves into this process of resistance. And I absolutely believe in that, as long as it's done in a nonviolent manner. I think he's a fabulous writer.
Thank you, Chris! Thank you, Chris! Thank you.
Thank you, Chris!
Hope from now on will look like this. Hope will not come in trusting the ultimate goodness of Barack Obama, who, like Herod of old, sold out his people. It will not be realized by chanting packaged campaign slogans or attempting to influence the Democratic Party. It will not come through our bankrupt liberal institutions, from the press to the withered stump that is the labor movement. Hope will only come now when we physically defy the violence of the state. All who resist, all who are here today, keep hope alive.
I do agree with the statement that it can keep resistance alive, that it's still important to do the right thing no matter what, and I think it can change some minds, and especially if we keep stuff like this going, and it's not just a one-time and out thing.
All who succumb to fear, despair, and apathy become an enemy of hope. They become, in their passivity, agents of injustice. If the enemies of hope are finally victorious in this nation, the poison of violence will become not only the language of power, but the language of opposition. And those who resist here today with nonviolence are the last thin line of defense between a civil society and its disintegration. Hope has a cost. Hope is not comfortable or easy. Hope requires personal risk. It is not about the right attitude or peace of mind. Hope is action. Hope is doing something. The more futile, the more useless, the more irrelevant and incomprehensible an act of rebellion is, the vaster and more potent hope becomes. Hope never makes sense. Hope is weak, unorganized, and absurd. Hope, which is always nonviolent, exposes in its powerlessness the lies, fraud, and coercion employed by the state. Hope knows that an injustice visited on our neighbor is an injustice visited on all of us. Hope posits that people are drawn to the good by the good. This is the secret of hope's power. And every act that imparts hope is a victory in itself. Defenseless under the night, our world in stupor lies. Yet dotted everywhere, ironic points of light flash out wherever the just exchange their messages. May I, composed like them of eros and of dust, beleaguered by the same negation and despair, show an affirming flame. Thank you.
Greetings, winter soldiers. I like this snow. I like this snow. It does define us as winter soldiers. It reminds me, my grade school verses, what was that? These are the times that try men's souls, that's for sure, and women's souls. In these times of crisis, the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will fade away, but the winter soldier is here. Who wants to be the last man to die for a mistake? Well, nobody has to worry about that today, to being the last man. I'm afraid the war in Afghanistan, if it goes on without more resistance, without this kind of resistance growing bigger and bigger, is going to go on long after the last man fighting there now has gone out of the killing zone, has retired, has gone out. As General Petraeus said, this is the kind of war that goes on all our lives and our kids' lives. That's what he's saying. So you don't have to worry about being the last man, but the mistake, yes. I believe that later today, by all forecasts, Barack Obama will compound that mistake by confirming that he wasn't wrong. Presidents don't like to say they were wrong before. So he's going to say, no, we weren't wrong then. It's going fine. And we're going to keep them there, and we'll send more. When Richard Nixon sent a dozen people with orders on May 3rd, 1972, to incapacitate Daniel Ellsberg totally, on the steps of the Capitol on May 3rd, that was a covert action. And when it was exposed, it confronted him with possible impeachment or resignation. It led to his impeachment or prosecution. It led to his resignation and helped end the war. We've arrived 40 years later at a time when calls like that for incapacitation, assassination, extra-legal execution can be made openly in the halls of Congress.
And they tell us that our enemies are poor people in caves in Afghanistan, or poor people in the deserts of Iraq. But we've been to those countries, and we know that our enemies are not other poor people abroad. Our enemies are the people that laid us off from our jobs, that denied us health care, that make it impossible to get an education. Our enemies are not in the poorest countries on the planet, but right here in the richest one. Speak it, Yeah! It's crystal clear now that these wars are going to continue and expand and go into other countries. That is the trend. That is what we know, that there is perpetual war, and it's only going to stop if the people stand up and stop it. And that's what we're going to do, sisters and brothers.
Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drum coming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there. Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drum coming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there.
The White House just kind of blends in, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's camouflage.